What is going on, Crimson Tide fans? If you are watching this video right now, it means that I'm actually on vacation. I'm actually pre-filming a couple videos so we can still have some videos and content to put out for you guys while I am on vacation. And I am just hammering bushwhackers probably right now. So we are doing a challenge today. Every sub that we get on today's video, that is one bushwhacker that I get to have on vacation. So you guys can help me have a really, really good time on vacation. Help me out. Sub today right here to the Alabama Football Report. We've got content coming for you guys all off-season and in-season long. So do not miss out. Hit that sub button for me right now. All right, coming up on today's show, we are just going to do some position breakdowns here over the next couple of days. And the first one is going to be on the quarterback room. We're just kind of looking at where things stand right now in Alabama's quarterback battle. Obviously, it is the summertime. There's no new stuff that's going to come out. So just kind of going over some things that, maybe Ryan Grubb has talked about. We'll talk about a couple of his quotes. We'll also talk about what PFF had to say about Alabama's quarterback room. And then we're also going to talk about some of those 2026 targets, including your current quarterback commit right now in Jet Tamala. We'll talk about all of that on today's video. These are your quarterbacks right now in the room, and it is a very, very light room. You have Ty Simpson, you have Austin Mack, and you have Keelon Russell. It kind of seems like coming out of, the springtime that Ty Simpson's going to be the starting quarterback going into next season, but still a lot to be said about Alabama's quarterback room. Is Ty Simpson, if he does win the job, is he going to be able to keep that starting quarterback position? Is, QB2, is that a competition between Austin Mack and Keelon Russell? Still a lot of things that have yet to be seen in this quarterback room. This is what Pro Football Focus said in their article detailing their position group rankings, and they had Alabama actually in the top 10 at number 9 in the country. And they said none of the Crimson Tide's options at quarterback have started a game yet, but it's still a room with a lot of potential. You have redshirt junior Ty Simpson is the most likely candidate to start after 3 years on the bench. The former 5-star recruit was impressive when given the opportunity, though, earning an 83.2 PFF grade on 188 career snaps. True freshman Keelon Russell was also a 5-star coming out of high school and was the number 2 overall recruit in the 2025 recruiting class. Redshirt sophomore Austin Mack rounds out the room and was a 4-star recruit from the 2023 recruiting class. Now, let's go ahead and just kind of talk about Ty Simpson a little bit here to start off. We'll break them all down here. Ty Simpson, one of my favorite things about him is really just the fact that he is a guy that has stuck around here for a couple of seasons. Former 5-star quarterback, definitely could have hit the transfer portal. Ty Simpson, has stuck around, and, he has been one of those guys, a true leader, I think, on this team. And, one thing that I think also, a lot of people don't take into consideration is his ability to run the ball as well. This kid is extremely athletic, and he's obviously not going to run as much as Jalen Milroe did last year, but I do think in different situations, you're going to be able to see Ty Simpson extend plays, get outside the pocket, make throws on the run. You might even see a little bit of, those RPOs where the quarterback runs or some read options as well. I would not sleep on Ty Simpson's legs at all. I think a couple of years ago, he had that finger issue where when he would get some of those spot opportunities, some of those throws, might have sailed on him a little bit. But I think going into this season, Ty Simpson, as we've heard Ryan Grubb said, he has been the most consistent guy at that quarterback position. And you just want somebody that's going to be able to get the ball to your playmakers, move the ball downfield, move the chains, and just be consistent and keep the ball in your team's hands and not give the ball to the other team as well. This is what Ryan Grubb said about Ty Simpson during the springtime. He said those were not surprising things. Those are things that we had already talked about with the guys. He was talking about nobody hitting the transfer portal. We had our post-spring evaluations done with these guys. Ty took care of the ball better. He operated better, and I thought he improved for an older quarterback. I know he's young to playing and starting experience, but as an older guy, I thought, especially towards the latter part of the spring, he started to show more of those characteristics. I think another characteristic that Ty Simpson has shown to have improved upon as well is that leadership perspective as well. We talked about a couple of years ago, with that quarterback battle situation between Ty Simpson, Tyler Buckner, and Jalen Milroe. Really what put, I think, Jalen Milroe above everybody that year was Jalen Milroe's ability to be a leader. The team was behind him. I think going into this season, Ty Simpson is going to be that leader that everybody knows he can be on that football team. And coming out of high school, he was a 5-star. Let's not act like this kid was a 3-star walk-on or anything crazy like that coming out of high school. I mean, he was the number 3 quarterback coming out of that 2022 class. So I got a lot of confidence in Ty Simpson. I do think he's going to be the guy. And you know what? Hopefully he's going to be a quarterback that can bring Alabama back to the college football playoffs and even possibly make a run in the college football playoffs as well. So let me know here at the pinned comment of today's video, will Ty Simpson be the starter all year long for Alabama? He might win the job initially, but is he going to be good enough to keep that job? Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, the next player in this quarterback room is Austin Mack, and I think a lot of us really are excited about Austin Mack. I know going into the springtime, there was, a lot of it's either going to be Austin Mack or Keelon Russell. Those plans didn't really, come through for a lot of those people saying that, but I do think the traits are there for Austin Mack, and I do think that he just has to grow. I mean, we saw that throw, I believe it was against Mercer. It was one of those crappy teams out of Alabama was beating the crap out of last year. Throw that ball to Rico Scott in the back left-hand corner of the end zone or front left-hand corner. It was a beautiful throw. And I think this is also a guy that can use his legs as well. I do think he probably is going to use his legs less than Ty Simpson and definitely less than what we saw from Jalen Milroe. I think out of all 3 of these quarterbacks that you have on the roster right now, Austin Mack's probably going to use them less in terms of, pure quarterback running and RPOs and things like that. But Austin Mack is extremely athletic as well. And he's a guy that is, younger too. He's only 19 years old. He was in that 2023 recruiting class, was supposed to be in that 2024 recruiting class, went to Washington 1 year in advance to, get some experience as, somebody learning from Michael Penix Jr. This is what Ryan Grubb said about Austin Mack. And if you remember, Ryan Grubb recruited Austin Mack in his time at Washington. He said, I've always believed in Austin. He's got big upside. I thought he'd really done a good job working on his technique, throwing motion, things like that. I can tell he's been working hard on it last year. He's a really bright kid, and I know that he can process the offense. He came into our system really, really young. A 17-year-old freshman thought there was, when we got Austin at Washington, was that he would have 6 months with Michael Penix Jr. and kind of see how it's supposed to be. I certainly think he's gravitated to that, and it looks like he has matured a lot, and I am excited to be with him. He talked about the fact that he was, there with Michael Penix Jr., got to see how it was done. Michael Penix Jr. was a guy that ended up being a Heisman finalist. He went in the first round of the NFL draft, so you can see Austin Mack, yes, he is young. He's still only 1 year older than a guy like Keelon Russell, but look, I mean, I think it shows a lot as well. We talked about Ty Simpson being a guy that ended up not transferring. Yes, Austin Mack did transfer from Washington to Alabama, but he followed Kalen DeBoer during that process. And, look, this offseason as well, kind of, knowing that, hey, look, going into next season, probably not going to win that starting quarterback job with Ty Simpson being there, but still in Keelon Russell, the 5-star who number 2 player overall, the highest recruit in Alabama football history, sitting there right behind him, knowing there's an opportunity or there's a thought, there's a reasonable outcome that Keelon Russell could be that guy next year, and Austin Mack just totally gets, passed over. But, kudos to him for sticking it out and just being here with Kalen DeBoer for at least one more year. We'll see what happens, going into next season. We'll continue here in just a second with some Keelon Russell conversation. But first, want to give a shout out to our friends over at Fanatics. You guys can get what I'm calling the Kalen DeBoer hat. Was $25, now on sale for only $8. So if you guys need a new Alabama football hat, it is that dry fit performance type of hat. It's getting really, really hot right now. This hat will keep your head cool. I've got one of them, so I can speak from experience there. Like I said, it is on sale right now. Was $25, now is only $8. So just go to chatsports.com/DeBoer hat. I'll put that link down in the comment section and the description of today's video. Let's go over now to Keelon Russell. You guys remember the story last year. He was a 3-star when Nick Sheridan first made that offer, and you had the idiot from LSU, he flips his commitment from SMU to Alabama, and then the dude that works for ESPN covering LSU just made a complete asshole of himself, laughing, oh my God, everything's burning. Well, Keelon Russell ended up being the number 2 player overall in last year's recruiting cycle. He is the highest ranked player that Alabama has ever received coming out of high school as well. Number 1 player out of Texas. Anytime you get the number 1 player out of the state of Texas, you know that player's probably going to be a damn good player. Now, Ryan Grubb was not actually involved in the recruitment of Keelon Russell, but he did come in this spring as Alabama's new offensive coordinator, and this is what he saw from Keelon during the springtime. He said, Keelon is awesome, man. He is very unflappable, even when things don't go right, and invariably will for a freshman quarterback. I think he's done an awesome job just kind of staying the course and being very steady, and he can make a lot of different plays. One of the things that I've noticed, thinking about Jake Haener way back from Fresno State, he's with the New Orleans Saints now. Jake has a very whippy and quick release. Once he made his decision, he was very decisive with the football. You see that with Keelon a lot. And then Keelon's vision reminds me of Michael Penix Jr. a little bit. He has good wide vision with the field. He can see even when he doesn't know exactly what's going on. So he's still working through all of the processes, but he will get there. He is a very, very good player. And if you guys have seen any of this kid in high school, he is a really good player. And I love the fact that he talked about that whipping motion. Man, the ball just flies with a different kind of zip out of Keelon Russell's hand. I don't think he's going to end up being the starter for Alabama this year, but man, going into next season, there's a real opportunity. As long as Ty Simpson has a good season and moves on to the NFL or whatever, I think Keelon Russell has a really, really good opportunity to be Alabama's starting quarterback next season. So as of right now, I want to hear what you guys think. Who do you think will be quarterback 2 this year for Alabama? Thinking, the assumption is Ty Simpson is going to be the starter. So who do you think will be the backup? Who gets those second string reps? Type AM if you think it's going to be Austin Mack, or KR if you think it's going to be Keelon Russell. My overall thoughts about this current Alabama quarterback room right now is, they're going to be pretty strong. I mean, you're in a really good spot with this quarterback room, and especially, you have Kalen DeBoer, who last season came into the system, and you had Jalen Milroe, and not just at this quarterback spot, but the entire team, offense and defense. You had this new coaching staff who, just kind of had to take what they had in terms of players. Sure, they lost some players. They added some players via the transfer portal, but they're really going to be able to recruit players now that fit their system, both on offense and on defense. And I thought last year this coaching staff anyways, did as good of a job as you could really have asked for. And it's really fun now to see what recruits they're going after now and how they're going to fit their system. Like I said, I thought, the players that Nick Saban recruited, I thought they did a decent job integrating them into that new system of Kane Womack and Kalen DeBoer systems. But there were still some issues last year. At the end of the day, Jalen Milroe just wasn't a fit. He was a running quarterback. I think Ty Simpson's going to be a little bit better, and then I think every single quarterback after that, starting with Austin Mack and Keelon Russell, I think those guys are really, really going to do a good job developing in this new system on the offensive side of the ball. looking to where they are recruiting now. You have Tate Kawa, who, like I said, I'm on vacation right now, so I am filming this video early, but it does seem like Tate Kawa is trending towards Alabama. By the time this video goes out, he could already be committed. With me filming right now, he doesn't even have a commitment date set. So we'll see what happens there. But Tate Kawa, definitely an option for Alabama in this 2026 recruiting class. And then obviously you have your other quarterback, Jet Tamala, who end up flipping to you there as well. He's the number 16 quarterback in the country. Number 16, the same ranking, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just, scroll up here. Austin Mack, 230 overall. Jet Tamala, 232 overall. Austin Mack was the number 16 quarterback. Jet Tamala, also the number 16 quarterback there. So kind of the same trends you're seeing right there in terms of the future of Alabama's quarterback room. So overall, I want you guys to grade Alabama's quarterback room A, B, C, D, or F. I think it should probably be in that B range, sort of. Obviously, there's yet a lot to be seen because none of these quarterbacks on the roster right now have any starting experience. But I think when you talk about, the pedigree coming out of high school, those recruiting rankings, they're still pretty solid. I think it's higher than a C, but don't necessarily think it's an A. But I'm going to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Grade Alabama's quarterback room, A, B, C, D, or F.